All right, these are going to be our absolute value and opposites notes. So we're going to quickly talk about some vocabulary. This should be a really easy topic. Okay, so integers are all positive and negative whole numbers. So all positive, right, positive and negative whole numbers. Okay, that's an integer. So some positive vocabulary would be words like above or rise or to the right or deposit. Those are all really good positive words. They're not the whole list, but it's a good start, okay? And then we have some negative vocabulary words. Some negative vocabulary words would be words like below, okay, withdrawal, things like down or to the left. Okay, have some good negative vocabulary words there, okay? All right, and then opposites. Opposites are two numbers who have the same distance from 0 on a number line. The same distance from 0 on a number line. So we're going to do some examples. So let's just think, let's do -3. So the opposite of -3 would just be +3, right? So if I put -3 on my number line and put +3 on my number line, here's 0, right? Here's 0. So if I was counting, I would have 1, 2, 3 spaces to get to 0. And here, 1, 2, 3 spaces to get to 0. So either way, the distance, the same distance on either side of 0. So those are opposites, okay? So another example would be, let's say 57, right? 57 is a positive. So the number that would have the same distance to 0 would be -57, okay? So those are opposites. All right, and then the last vocabulary word we're going to concentrate on is absolute value, okay? Absolute value is any number's distance from 0 on a number line. Any value's distance from 0 on a number line. And the key thing that you really need to remember is that absolute value is always positive. 100% of the time, absolute value is always positive, okay? All right, so let's do some examples. So absolute value is gonna have these bars around a number, okay? So these bars right here, those are absolute value bars, and those bars tell me I need to take the positive value of that number, okay? So the first one says the absolute value of -5. So if I plot -5 on my number line, so I have -1, -2, -3, -4. So if I plot -5 on my number line, and I remember I have to count to 0, I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So its distance from 0 is just +5. Remember, absolute value is going to always be a positive number because it's distance, and distance is always positive, okay? So then we try the next one. Example number 2 says the absolute value, remember these are absolute value bars right here, the absolute value of 7. So if I put 7 on my number line, and remember we're counting to 0, the absolute value of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is just 7. So it's not going to be an opposite. This is absolute value. The opposite would be -7, but the absolute value is going to always be a positive number, okay? So absolute value of 7 is just 7, okay? And that is the distance from 0 on a number line. The last example that we're going to do is the absolute value of negative 1/2. Okay, so the absolute value, that's what these bars mean. Basically, those bars mean make it positive, okay? So I'm going to, there's 0. I'm gonna find negative 1/2. So this is negative 1 right here, this first line. So 1/2 would just be in the middle of negative 1 and 0, okay? So there's 1/2. So to get to 0, I just have a distance of positive 1/2, okay? So again, we're literally just taking the number and taking the positive value of it. So absolute value of -5, positive 5. Absolute value of 7 is still just 7, and the absolute value of negative 1/2 is positive 1/2. All right, and that's integers, opposites, and absolute value.